The phone feels cold against my ear, a stark contrast to the warmth of the tea I'm cradling in my other hand. Outside my window, the city lights of my new apartment glitter like scattered diamonds, indifferent and beautiful. On the other end of the line, there is only the frantic sound of my husband's breathing, punctuated by the chirping of crickets and the distant rush of the ocean. He's 1,000 miles away, standing in the humid night air on the porch of a place that was once our sanctuary. Now it's just a locked door. "Babe, are you there?" "The code isn't working," Mark says, his voice tight with an irritation he's trying to mask as simple confusion. "They must have reset it or something. Can you check the email from the management company?" "I can't get a signal out here to check mine." I take a slow sip of my chamomile tea. The steam fogs the window pane for a moment, blurring the perfect, sharp edges of the city. I let the silence stretch, a weapon I'm only just learning how to wield. I can hear another voice in the background on his end, a woman's voice, high and impatient. "What's wrong? Just open the door. It's getting buggy out here." "I'm trying," he hisses back at her, his voice muffled as he covers the receiver. Then, back to me, trying to sound normal, trying to sound like the husband who left 3 days ago for a solo trip to decompress, he says, "Claire? Seriously, can you look it up? I'm really tired."
"We," he said. "We."
A slip. The first of many, I'm sure. A strange calm settles over me. It's the kind of calm that comes after the storm has passed, after the house has been leveled, and all you can do is stand in the wreckage and breathe. The symphony of his panic is the most beautiful music I've ever heard. The silence on the line was a masterpiece. If you've ever felt that kind of quiet, earth-shattering victory, tell me about it in the comments. I read every single one. And if you feel so inclined, please subscribe. It helps me more than you'll ever know to continue sharing stories like this one. I changed it, I say. My voice is even, devoid of the tears that have been my constant companions for the last 6 months. It sounds like a stranger's voice. Stronger. He's quiet for a second. "You what? Why would you do that? What's the new code?" "There is no new code for you, Mark." I can practically feel his world tilting on its axis, the ground shifting beneath his feet. I hear him take a sharp breath. The woman in the background says his name, Mark, a question hanging in the humid air between them. He doesn't answer her. He can't. All his focus, all his sudden, terrified energy is aimed at me, 1,000 miles away, through this tiny piece of glass and metal. "What are you talking about, Claire? This isn't funny. Just give me the code." His voice is losing its patient facade, cracking around the edges like old paint. "I don't think you understand," I say, and I stand up, walking over to the window. I look down at the bustling streets below. People heading home, heading out, living their lives, completely unaware of the beautiful, precise demolition I am currently conducting. That place, our place, is no longer yours to access. The ownership is solely in my name now. The locks have been changed. The codes have been reset. You're not getting in. It wasn't always like this. The silence between us used to be comfortable. It used to be the easy quiet of two people who knew each other so well that words were often unnecessary. I remember sitting on the couch, my feet tucked under his leg, reading a book while he watched some loud, explosive movie. The only sounds were the turning of my pages and the cinematic gunfire from the television. It was peaceful. It was home. We built a life that felt like a fortress. 15 years. We met in college, two idealistic kids with terrible part-time jobs and a shared dream of escaping our small-town roots. He had this laugh that could fill a room, a booming, infectious thing that made you feel like you were in on the best joke in the world. I was quieter, the observer, the one who noticed the small things. I noticed the way his eyes crinkled when he was genuinely happy, the way he'd tap his fingers on the table when he was deep in thought. I thought I knew every part of him. We married at 24, a small ceremony in a courthouse with our closest friends. We were broke but deliriously happy. We spent our first 5 years in a cramped apartment that always smelled faintly of our neighbor's curry. We saved every penny. Mark was ambitious, driven. He climbed the ladder at his marketing firm with a relentless energy that I both admired and, at times, feared. I was a graphic designer, working from a small desk tucked into the corner of our bedroom. I loved my work, the quiet satisfaction of creating something beautiful out of nothing. But my ambition was softer than his. My dream was us. The timeshare was his idea. It was a symbol, he'd said, of making it. A beautiful two-bedroom condo in a quiet corner of Florida, overlooking the Gulf of Mexico. It wasn't extravagant, but it was ours. 2 weeks a year, guaranteed. A place to escape the brutal northern winters. A place where we could grow old together. He'd promised, his hand over mine, as we signed the mountain of paperwork. For the first few years, it was our paradise. We'd spend our days on the beach, our skin sticky with salt and sunscreen. We'd cook dinner together in the small kitchen, drinking cheap wine and dancing to old songs on a tiny Bluetooth speaker. We'd sit on the balcony at night, watching the moon rise over the water, and we'd talk. We talked about everything, our fears, our hopes, the children we planned to have one day. That balcony held more of our secrets than any confessional. It was sacred ground. Then slowly, almost imperceptibly, things began to change. Mark's promotions meant more travel, longer hours. The booming laugh became rarer, replaced by a weary sigh when he came home at night. He'd toss his keys on the counter, the sound unnaturally loud in our quiet apartment, and head straight for the shower, as if to wash the day, or something else, off of him. Our conversations became logistical. Did you pay the electric bill? I have a dinner with clients on Thursday. The shared dreams were replaced by separate schedules. I tried to bridge the gap. I'd plan date nights, suggest weekend getaways. He'd agree, but he was never really there. His eyes would be on his phone, a small, impenetrable screen that held a world I was no longer a part of. The first real crack in our fortress appeared about a year ago. He came home late, smelling of a perfume that wasn't mine. It was a sweet, cloying scent, something floral and young. I'm a creature of habit. I've worn the same subtle, sandalwood perfume since we met. I mentioned it casually, my heart hammering against my ribs. You smell different. He didn't even look at me. He just shrugged off his coat. Must be from someone at the office. We were packed into a conference room all day. I wanted to believe him. Oh, how I wanted to believe him. To dismiss it as my own insecurity, a product of the growing distance between us. So I did. I tucked the doubt away into a dark corner of my mind and tried to ignore it. But it was a splinter, lodged deep, and it festered. The signs multiplied. Credit card statements with charges for expensive restaurants I'd never been to. Late-night text messages that would make him jump. His screen quickly flipped over if I walked into the room. He started guarding his phone like it was a state secret. He, who used to leave it lying around for days without a thought. The man I married was disappearing, replaced by this nervous, secretive stranger. The easy silence between us was gone, replaced by a tense, heavy quiet, thick with unspoken questions. I felt like I was going crazy, constantly questioning my own reality. Was I being paranoid? Was I imagining things? He was a master of deflection. Whenever I'd try to talk to him, to voice my fears, he'd turn it around on me. Why are you so insecure lately, Claire? He'd ask, his voice laced with a condescending pity. Work is stressful. Can't you just support me instead of adding to it? He made me feel like the problem. My anxiety, my questions, my need for reassurance, they were the issue, not his behavior. And for a while I believed him. I tried harder. I cooked his favorite meals. I stopped asking where he'd been. I made myself smaller and smaller, hoping that if I took up less space, there would be more room for him to come back to me. I was a ghost in my own home, haunting the life I thought we were building. The inciting incident, the moment the splinter became a gaping wound, was insultingly mundane. It was a Tuesday morning. He was in the shower, the sound of water drumming against the tile. His phone, which he'd forgotten on the nightstand in his rush, buzzed. It was a habit, a muscle memory, to glance at it. For years, We'd had no secrets. I knew his password, and he knew mine. But this time, the message was on the lock screen, a preview glowing in the dim morning light. It was from someone named Jessica. The message was simple, a knife twisted in 6 words. Last night was amazing. I can't stop thinking about you. The world stopped. The sound of the shower faded into a dull roar. The air in the room grew thin, and I couldn't seem to draw a full breath. My blood ran cold, a glacial tide pulling all the warmth from my body. I stood there, frozen, staring at those 6 words. They were a death sentence for the life I knew. Last night he told me he was working late, closing a big deal. He'd come home after I was asleep. I picked up the phone. My hands were shaking so violently I could barely hold it. I knew his password was our anniversary. The irony was so bitter it made me want to gag. I typed in the numbers, and his world opened up to me. It was all there. Months of it. Texts, pictures, plans. Jessica, a 20-something junior associate at his firm. There were photos of them at dinner, laughing. A picture of her in a hotel room, wearing one of his shirts.
There were messages about me.
Claire's being so needy lately. I just need to get through this dinner with her. Don't worry. She has no idea. He was mocking me. He was pitying me. He was living a completely separate, vibrant life while I was at home, trying to fix the broken pieces of ours. The pain was physical. It felt like a physical blow to the chest, knocking all the air out of my lungs. I collapsed onto the edge of the bed, the phone clutched in my hand, and I finally understood. I wasn't paranoid. I wasn't insecure. I was being betrayed. The sound of the shower stopped. I had seconds. I dropped the phone back on the nightstand, arranging it exactly as it had been. I scrambled back to my side of the bed and pulled the covers up, pretending to be asleep. My heart was a wild bird trapped in my ribs, beating against them until I thought they would break. He came out of the bathroom, a towel around his waist, humming. He looked at me, lying still in the bed, and I felt a wave of nausea. He thought I was sleeping. He thought I was the same trusting, oblivious wife I had been when he'd stepped into the shower. He leaned down and kissed my forehead. His lips were cold. It was the kiss of a stranger, a Judas kiss, and it took every ounce of self-control I had not to flinch. That morning was the beginning of my double life. Outwardly, I was the same. I made him coffee. I asked about his day. I played the part of the devoted wife. But inside, I was a battlefield. Grief and rage fought for dominance. Some days, grief won. I'd lock myself in the bathroom and sob until I was empty, my face puffy and raw. I'd look in the mirror and not recognize the woman staring back at me, her eyes hollowed out by sadness. I'd mourn the man I thought I'd married, the future I thought we'd have. Other days, rage was victorious. A cold, hard anger would settle in my bones. How dare he? How dare he humiliate me, lie to me, and then kiss my forehead like nothing was wrong? How dare he make me feel crazy for suspecting the truth? This anger was different from the hot, fleeting anger of an argument. This was a slow-burning fire, and I began to tend to it. It was the only thing that kept me warm. My early struggles were pathetic. I was a spy in my own home. I'd check his phone when he was asleep. I'd go through his credit card bills, connecting the dots of his secret life. Each new discovery was a fresh stab of pain, but it was also evidence. I was building a case, though I didn't know what for yet. Confrontation? Divorce? I couldn't decide. The thought of blowing up our life was terrifying. 15 years is a long time to just detonate. I tried to talk to him, vaguely at first. I'd say things like, "I feel like we're drifting apart," or "Are you happy, Mark?" I was giving him an opening, a chance to confess. I was practically begging him to tell me the truth, so we could at least deal with the reality of our situation instead of living in this suffocating lie. He never took the bait. He'd just look at me with that same practiced concern. "Of course I'm happy, babe. I'm just stressed. Work is insane right now. We'll take a vacation soon, reconnect. How about the timeshare in a few months?" He used our sacred place as a weapon, a tool to placate me. The thought of going there with him now, of sitting on that balcony and pretending everything was fine, made my stomach turn. Every promise was a lie. Every touch felt like a violation. The gaslighting intensified. I found a receipt for a ridiculously expensive necklace from a boutique I'd never been to. It was dated a week before my birthday. For a fleeting, foolish moment, I thought maybe he was trying. Maybe it was a surprise for me. But my birthday came and went, and he gave me a gift card to a bookstore. A practical, thoughtless gift. When I finally got the courage to ask about the receipt, which I claimed I found while cleaning his car, he didn't even blink. He manufactured a story with terrifying ease.
Oh,
It was a corporate gift for a client's wife. We had to wine and dine them to close the deal. You know how it is. He said it so smoothly, with such conviction, that for a second I almost believed him. He had an answer for everything. The late nights were work. The constant texting was his boss. The scent of perfume was a colleague. He was building a fortress of lies around himself, and I was trapped outside, screaming in a language he refused to understand. I started to feel like I was losing my mind. The constant state of high alert, the emotional whiplash of hope and despair, was exhausting. I wasn't sleeping. I was barely eating. I lost weight and dark circles formed under my eyes. My friends noticed. "Are you okay, Claire?" My best friend, Sarah, asked me over coffee one afternoon. "You seem fragile." I wanted to tell her. I wanted to pour out the whole sordid story, to have someone validate my pain and my anger. But shame kept my mouth shut. Admitting my husband was cheating felt like admitting I had failed. That I wasn't enough. That our perfect life was a sham. So I just smiled, a brittle, unconvincing thing, and said, "I'm fine. Just stressed." "Work is busy," I used his excuse. The infection was spreading. The challenges kept rising, each one a new level of hell. I learned more about Jessica. I couldn't help myself. I found her on social media. Her profile was public. She was 26, with bright, manufactured blonde hair and a smile that seemed both predatory and vacant. She posted everything. Pictures of her cocktails at fancy bars, pictures of her new shoes, pictures of her desk at Mark's company. And then I saw it. A picture of her wearing the necklace. The one that was a corporate gift. She was at a restaurant, smiling into the camera, her hand on the arm of the man taking the picture. You couldn't see his face, but I knew that watch. The silver one with the blue face that I had bought him for our 10th anniversary. The screen of my phone swam before my eyes. It was one thing to know, in the abstract. It was another to see it. To see this girl, this child, flaunting the spoils of my husband's betrayal, wearing a necklace bought with our money I had helped earn. She was living the life he was stealing from me, one dinner, one gift, one lie at a time. The humiliation was a physical force. It burned in my chest, a hot, acidic shame. He wasn't just cheating. He was building a new life on the rubble of ours, and he didn't even have the decency to be discreet. He was arrogant. He thought I was a fool. He thought I was so beaten down, so in love with the memory of who he used to be, that I would never see it. That was the moment something inside me shifted. The grief, which had been a constant, suffocating fog, began to recede. In its place, a new feeling started to grow. It was cold and sharp and clear. It was rage, yes, but it was more than that. It was determination. The tears stopped. I looked at myself in the reflection of the dark phone screen. I saw the tired, sad woman I had become, and I didn't recognize her. The old Claire, the one who built things, the one who had her own dreams, was buried under months of pain and doubt. I decided, in that moment, to dig her out. My strategy changed. It was no longer about saving my marriage. My marriage was already dead. He had killed it, and he was dancing on its grave with his 26-year-old mistress. This was now about saving myself. This was about survival. I stopped snooping. I didn't need any more evidence of his infidelity. I had a phone full of it. I started gathering a different kind of evidence. I became a forensic accountant in my own life. I downloaded years of bank statements, credit card bills, investment reports. I created a spreadsheet, meticulously documenting every suspicious charge, every hotel room, every expensive dinner, every gift. I traced the flow of our money, and I found things. He had a separate credit card I didn't know about. He'd been siphoning money from our joint savings account into a personal account. Small amounts at first, then larger and larger. He was building a nest egg for his new life, with our money. The scale of his deception was breathtaking. It wasn't just a fling. It was a calculated, long-term plan. He was planning to leave me, and he was planning to leave me with nothing. The knowledge was terrifying, but it was also liberating. It severed the last lingering thread of hope I had for us. This wasn't a mistake. This was a conspiracy against me. And it meant I no longer had to feel guilty for what I was about to do. I made an appointment with the best divorce lawyer in the city. Her name was Anya Sharma, and she had a reputation for being a shark. Walking into her sleek, downtown office felt like crossing a threshold. I was nervous, my hands trembling as I clutched the folder of evidence I had compiled. Anya was a small, impeccably dressed woman with eyes that missed nothing. I told her everything. The whole story, from the first whiff of perfume to the necklace on Instagram to the secret bank accounts. I didn't cry. I laid out the facts calmly, methodically, like a prosecutor presenting a case. When I was finished, she looked at me, a flicker of something, respect, maybe, in her sharp eyes. "He thinks you're a fool," she said, her voice calm and even. "He thinks you're a mouse. We are going to show him you are a dragon." For the first time in months, I felt a flicker of hope. I had an ally. I had a plan. Anya told me not to confront him. Not yet. She told me to continue playing the part of the oblivious wife.
We needed more time.
We needed to prepare. We needed to strike when he least expected it, and we needed to strike with overwhelming force. Living the lie became easier, now that it had a purpose. It was no longer a sign of my weakness, but a part of my strategy. My performance improved. I smiled more. I asked about his day, with a convincing warmth. I even initiated intimacy a few times, an act that felt like both self-betrayal and a necessary sacrifice. I needed him to believe everything was fine. I needed him to be comfortable, complacent. A comfortable enemy is a careless enemy. The deepening crisis came, as it always does, just when I started to feel a sliver of control. Mark came home one evening with an air of theatrical melancholy. He poured 2 glasses of wine, sat me down on the couch, and took my hands in his. His were clammy. "Claire," he began, his voice heavy with fake emotion. "I feel like we've been so distant lately. And it's my fault. I've been letting work consume me. I haven't been the husband you deserve." I almost choked on my wine. The audacity of this man was a thing of wonder. I just looked at him, my expression carefully neutral, waiting for the other shoe to drop. "I need to clear my head," he continued, his eyes pleading. "I was thinking of going down to the timeshare for a long weekend. Alone. Just to get some perspective, to think about us, about what's important. I need to figure out how to be a better husband to you." There it was. The ultimate insult. He was going to take his mistress to our place. Our sanctuary. The place where he had promised we would grow old together. He was going to defile it, and he was going to do it under the guise of trying to save our marriage. The sheer, unmitigated gall of it left me breathless. I felt the cold rage rise in my throat, a bitter tide. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw the wine in his face and show him the folder of evidence, the spreadsheet of his lies. I wanted to watch his smug, handsome face crumble. But I saw Anya's face in my mind. Not yet. Wait for the perfect moment. So I swallowed the rage. I forced my lips into a semblance of a supportive smile. I squeezed his hand. "I think that's a great idea, honey," I said, my voice dripping with a sweetness that was pure poison. "You do that. You take all the time you need. I'll be right here when you get back." He looked so relieved. He actually sagged against the cushions, a genuine smile spreading across his face. He had bought it. He thought he had gotten away with it. The mouse was still in her cage. "Thank you, Claire," he whispered, leaning in to kiss me. "You're so understanding. I promise, when I get back, things will be different." "Oh, I know they will," I said, and for the first time, it wasn't a lie. The next 2 weeks were a blur of quiet, methodical preparation. While Mark was busy planning his romantic getaway, booking flights for 2 under the pretense of 1, I was dismantling his life, piece by piece. Anya and I worked in secret. We drafted the divorce papers. We filed a motion to freeze our joint assets, timing it to go into effect the day he was scheduled to leave. We prepared a full financial disclosure, complete with my spreadsheet of his hidden accounts and illicit spending. His attempt to build a secret nest egg was about to backfire spectacularly. Under state law, his infidelity and his attempts to hide marital assets would weigh heavily in my favor. But there was more. During my deep dive into our finances, I'd found something else. Mark had been using a corporate expense account for many of his trysts. Hotel rooms, lavish dinners with Jessica, even that necklace. All of it had been logged as client entertainment. He wasn't just betraying me, he was embezzling from his company. He had gotten arrogant, sloppy. He thought he was untouchable. I debated what to do with this information. It felt like a nuclear option. But then I thought about him, on that balcony with her in our place. And the debate was over. I compiled the evidence, the receipts, the corresponding dates in his text messages with her, into a neat, anonymous package. It would be sent to the head of HR and the CEO of his company. The postmark would be from a town 2 states away. The final piece of the plan was the timeshare itself. It was in both of our names. A quick call to the management company, a fabricated story about a lost wallet and security concerns, and a few emails later, I had initiated the process to have the title changed solely to my name. I used a portion of my own inheritance, money he never knew I had, to buy out his half at its original value, a transaction buried in a flurry of other paperwork I had him sign, which he did without reading, too preoccupied with his trip. He was so focused on his lies, he couldn't see the truth right in front of him. The last step was the simplest and the most satisfying. I called the on-site manager in Florida. I explained the situation, vaguely. A separation. A need for security. I authorized them to change the physical locks on the door and to permanently disable his access code. The new keys and the new code would be for me and me alone. The morning he left was surreal. He was practically giddy, buzzing with an energy I hadn't seen in years. He thought it was the excitement of his secret affair. I knew it was the excitement of a man walking into a perfectly laid trap. He kissed me goodbye at the door, a long, performative kiss. "I'll call you when I get there," he said. "I love you. I love you too," I replied, the words tasting like ash in my mouth. I watched him walk to his car, his suitcase in hand, and I felt nothing.
No sadness. No regret.
Just a profound, chilling emptiness. The calm before the storm I was about to unleash. I closed the door, locked it, and leaned my forehead against the cool wood. I took a deep breath. The house was quiet. For the first time in a long time, the silence didn't feel heavy. It felt clean. I spent the next few hours executing the final phase. The divorce papers were filed electronically by Anya's office. The asset freeze went into effect. The anonymous package was mailed. And then I packed a bag of my own, called a moving service to collect the rest of my things later, and I left our marital home for the last time. I didn't look back. I checked into a hotel, ordered room service, and waited for the phone to ring. It rang at 10:47 p.m., right on schedule. His flight had landed, he'd picked up the rental car, driven the hour from the airport, and was now standing on the porch of a life he no longer had access to. And now we're back here. Me, in my new apartment, overlooking a city full of possibilities. Him, 1,000 miles away, trapped in the humid darkness with his mistress and his lies. "What do you mean, there's no new code for me?" He sputters into the phone. The panic is undisguised now. It's raw and ugly. "Claire, what the hell did you do?" "I did what I had to do, Mark," I say, my voice still infuriatingly calm. "I protected myself. And I protected our assets. Or, well, my assets now. I can hear the woman, Jessica, in the background. What is she talking about? Mark, what's going on? He ignores her. This is insane. We own that place together. You can't just lock me out. Actually, I can, I say, and I can almost feel his self-assurance beginning to crumble. Check your email. The one from the management company from a few weeks ago. The one you probably deleted without reading. It confirms the title transfer. It's all perfectly legal. I bought you out. The place is mine. A strangled sound comes from his end of the line. The sound of a man who has just been checkmated in a game he didn't even know he was playing. Title transfer? What are you? You can't be serious. This is a joke. It's a sick joke. Do I sound like I'm joking? I ask. I let the silence hang in the air again. I want him to feel it. I want him to understand the depth of his miscalculation. He thought he was the predator, the one in control. He never once considered that the mouse might have teeth. Why, he finally whispers, his voice small, broken. Why would you do this? And for the first time, I let a sliver of the pain, the rage, the betrayal, into my voice.
Why?
You're seriously asking me why? You want to talk about Jessica's necklace? The one you bought with our money? Or the secret bank account you've been funneling our savings into? Or maybe we should talk about the hotel receipts you've been expensing to your company. Pick a topic, Mark. We have so much to discuss. The silence that follows is absolute. It is the sound of a man's world being utterly and completely annihilated. I've laid all my cards on the table, and he's just realized he's holding a losing hand. I can hear Jessica in the background again, her voice a panicked squeak. What is she talking about?
Mark?
What did you do? Shut up, Jessica, he snarls, all his fear and humiliation lashing out at the easiest target. It's a familiar pattern. Don't talk to her like that, I say, the irony not lost on me. She's your guest, after all. You should probably find a hotel for the night. I hear the Holiday Inn is nice this time of year. I'm sure you can put it on your corporate card. Oh, wait. He makes a noise that's halfway between a sob and a scream. You wouldn't. The package was sent this morning. I inform him coolly. To your CEO. I imagine your corporate card has already been cancelled. Along with your career, most likely. Embezzlement is such an ugly word, don't you think? This is the bigger win. The plot twist he never saw coming. It wasn't just about locking him out of a condo. It was about locking him out of the life he had built on my back, with my money and through my trust. It was about showing him that actions have consequences. He thought he could have it all, the devoted wife at home and the exciting affair on the side. He thought he was smart enough to manage both. He underestimated me. They always do. The divorce papers were filed this afternoon. Mark, I continue, my voice like ice. A process server will be waiting for you at your house when you get back, along with a court order freezing all our former joint accounts. Your little nest egg is gone. My lawyer will be in touch with yours. Assuming you can still afford 1 inch. I have taken everything. Not out of spite, but out of necessity. He was a cancer, and I had to cut him out completely, surgically, to ensure he couldn't harm me anymore. He was a predator who saw me as prey. And now he is the one who is trapped. Stranded in a state he doesn't live in, with a woman who is just now realizing she attached herself to a sinking ship, with no money, no job, and no home to return to. I can hear him weeping now. Ugly, gulping sobs of self-pity. He's not crying for me, or for us, or for the 15 years he threw away. He's crying for himself, for the life of ease and arrogance that has just been ripped away from him. Claire, please, he begs. Don't do this. We can fix this. I love you. The words, which once held the power to build my world, are now meaningless. They are the desperate, hollow ramblings of a cornered animal. No, Mark, I say, and my voice is final. You don't love me. You love the idea of me, the convenience of me. You love that I paid the bills on time and remembered your mother's birthday and kept your life running smoothly so you could go out and play.
But you don't love me.
And the woman you were, The person I was, she's gone. You killed her. This is who's left. I hang up. I don't block his number. I want him to know I am choosing not to answer. The phone immediately starts ringing again. And again. And again. I let it ring. I turn the ringer off and set the phone face down on the counter. The frantic buzzing is a vibration I can feel through the granite, a final, desperate tremor from a life that is no longer mine. The aftermath is not a victory parade. There are no fireworks, no cheering crowds. It is a quiet, desolate landscape that I must now learn to navigate alone. The first few weeks are a blur of legal correspondence, logistics, and the overwhelming task of untangling 15 years of a shared existence. Mark's downfall is swift and brutal. Just as I predicted, he is fired from his job for embezzlement. The news travels quickly through our old social circle.
People take sides.
Some friends, the ones who were always more his than mine, disappear. They can't reconcile the charming, successful Mark they knew with the man I've described. Others, my true friends, rally around me. Sarah shows up at my new apartment with 2 bottles of expensive wine and a box of trashy magazines, and we spend an entire evening not talking about him at all. It's the most normal I've felt in a year. Jessica, I learned through the grapevine, flees back to her parents' house in Ohio, her short-lived life of luxury cut short. She sends me one single, vitriolic email calling me a vindictive monster. I delete it without replying. She was a symptom, not the disease. My fight was never with her. The divorce is messy, but quick. With the evidence of his financial infidelity and embezzlement, he has no leverage. He tries to fight, to drag it out, but his legal options are limited and his funds are non-existent. He is forced to accept the settlement Anya drafted. I get the house, which I immediately sell. I get the majority of our assets, a fair compensation for the years of my life, and the money he tried to steal. I get the timeshare. I get my freedom. He gets his debts and his disgrace. The day the divorce is finalized, I don't feel joy. I just feel quiet. I take the day off from work, buy a single, perfect peony, and put it in a vase on my new kitchen table. I sit there for a long time, just looking at it, watching the petals slowly unfurl. It's a new beginning, but it's one built on the ashes of an old life. There is a sadness to it, a ghost of what could have been. A few months later, when the northern air begins to carry the first chill of autumn, I book a flight to Florida. It's time to reclaim my sanctuary. Walking up to the condo feels strange. The last time I imagined being here, it was with him. Now, I'm alone. I use my new key to open the new lock. The door swings open into a space that is both familiar and alien. It still smells faintly of salt and him. I spend the first day purging. I pack up all his clothes, his books, his toiletries. I donate them to a local charity. I strip the bed of the linens we chose together. I take down the photos of us from the walls, leaving behind pale, blank squares. The apartment feels empty, sterile, but clean. The next day, I go shopping. I buy new sheets, bright and colorful. I buy new art for the walls, abstract prints that are to my taste, not his. I buy a new coffee maker, new towels, a new rug. I slowly, deliberately, erase him from every corner of the space. On the 3rd night, I do something I haven't done in a long time. I cook a meal just for myself. I open a bottle of wine, put on my own music, and I sit out on the balcony. The moon is a perfect silver disk over the dark, shimmering water. The air is warm and soft. This was the place he was going to bring her. This was the place he was going to desecrate. And he failed. A sense of peace settles over me, deep and profound. It's not the giddy happiness I once felt here with him. It's something quieter, more resilient. It's the peace of a survivor. The peace of a woman who looked into the abyss of betrayal and decided to build a bridge to the other side instead of letting herself fall. I raise my glass to the moon, to the ocean, to the empty chair across from me. I am alone, but I am not lonely. I have been through the fire, and I have come out the other side, not unscathed, but whole, stronger. The fortress he and I built was a sham, its walls made of lies. The fortress I am building now for myself is smaller, but its foundations are solid. They are made of truth and resilience and a quiet, unshakable belief in my own worth. Rebuilding is a quiet thing. It happens one sunrise at a time, one small act of reclaiming yourself. If this story resonated with you, if you've ever had to find your own strength in the wreckage, I'd love to hear your version. Thanks for being here with me tonight. Subscribing helps bring more of these stories to life.